And definitely, it's now time for us to do business. My name is Kweku Timin. Policy rate moves up from 19 to 21%. Central Bank Governor says no cause for panic. It would not really affect interest rates from the various universal banks. This afternoon, we get to get details on this as we get an official from First Bank joining us. But we will talk about Ghana being the most preferred destination. So this and many other interesting details coming up shortly. Let's get the details of the stories now, as Ghana is the most preferred destination for American investors, according to U.S. Embassy Senior Commercial Officer Paul Taylor. Now, despite the potential, president of the Association of Ghana Industries says local industries have failed to effectively do business amongst themselves.
The Accra branch of the Association of Ghana Industries on Wednesday held a visiting and networking program to foster network for strategic global benefit for local industries. Senior Commercial Officer at the U.S. Embassy says there is a great opportunity for Ghanaian industries to benefit from American investments and take advantage of the American market.
You need to have the resources available, not only to make appropriate investments in the U.S., but also the resources, the internal resources within your company to understand the challenges and to take advantage of the opportunities in the U.S. It takes a certain level of sophistication for companies to invest anywhere outside their own borders.
He said the U.S. government has re-strategized in its dealings with Africa to enable it tap into the continent's newly discovered potential. Local industries, however, have failed to collaborate and patronize each other's services, a move that has contributed to the stale growth of the manufacturing sector.
AGI is calling on its members to try as much as possible to trade, to do business with themselves. As we buy from ourselves, then definitely we also create that capacity for our members to produce more.
Meanwhile, the AGI is hoping to receive support from various institutions to enable it to realize its goal of establishing an industrial development bank to provide business-friendly credit to local industries.
There has been a lot of goodwill from other institutions, and we looking forward to Senate, EDF, and other institutions that have the capacity to invest in this AGI funding. Also, we are calling for government to support us in respect of looking at certain grants. You know, there are certain grants that can be aggregated under this particular concept of an industrial bank.
Well, the Association of Ghana Industry, they're talking about how they would want to set up an industrial bank to help them with loans. We're talking about other developments now, and yesterday the Monetary Policy Committee just came up with a new policy rate. Of course, it really did surprise some analysts in the country. From 19% to 21%, we're thinking about the influence on lending rates to commercial banks. Joining me in the studios right now is Winslow Sakifio from First Bank. Thank you very much for joining us. Central Bank Governor just comes out to say this is a correctional measure and that he's not expecting that it would really affect cost of borrowing in the country. For most people, it's a no-no. Your take on it?
Yes, it's definitely a no-no because the policy rate affects virtually all interest rates in the country, and to move it from 19 to 21 was a bit too aggressive, if I'll put it mildly. And we can't say it wouldn't have an effect on borrowing. Definitely, the bank would have to borrow from the central bank at a higher rate, and they will pass it on to their customers.
So obviously, he's talked about, you know, the 500 basis point gap that was within when he talks about central bank borrowing to the banks, and he thought at one point he needed that correction being done. So when he should raise it up within the 300 basis point corridor, then obviously it brings the figure from 19 to 21. But they are still going to continue giving funds to the banks at 24. Does this not correspond with exactly what he means by it's just a correctional measure?
Definitely, to him it is a correctional measure, but you know, markets are driven by sentiment. Okay. And if there is that sentiment, the interest rates have shot up, it would filter down. the banks would definitely want to pass any extra interest rate to their customers, even though they will be able to borrow at 24. You know, there will be other interest rates that will be affected, so T-bills will be affected. And if you want depositors to bring in money, definitely you want to give them something better.
Maybe you take advantage and explain the T-bill lending rates and the relations now shortly before we go. 30
okay,
seconds.
For lending rates is the rate at which customers of the bank will lend from the bank.
I know, but in this situation, how it does here.
Yes, and then when you look at T-bills, T-bills is when you have excess cash and you would want to lend to the government. So what happens is that the banks can borrow at 24. T-bills is at 25.5. So what it means is that you can just borrow from the government and then lend back to the government, and then you make that margin.
Obviously, well, there's been a little bit of explanation on that one also, as it is just an overnight borrowing, so maybe it might not do that harm. But we will still continue with this particular details. Let me say a big thank you for coming into the studio. So we'll wrap up business at this point, but at another time, we'll come back in a day and give you more updates from our world of business. My name is Kwekutsum, and a very good afternoon.